On the evening of April the 18th, 1876, 30-year-old barrister Charles Bravo sat down to dinner at the Priory, his grand home in Balham, South London, with two women, his wife Florence and her companion, Mrs. Jane Cox. 3 courses, good wine, a civilized Victorian evening. Within 2 hours, Charles Bravo was on the floor of his bedroom, convulsing. Within 3 days, he was dead. The cause? A lethal dose of antimony, a metallic poison so rare that the royal physician Sir William Gull, called to his bedside, initially could not explain how it had entered his body. Charles Bravo took 3 days to die. He never named his killer, and in 148 years, no one else has named them either. Charles Bravo had been married to Florence for exactly 5 months when he died. Florence was wealthy, far wealthier than Charles. She owned the Priory outright. She had inherited a substantial fortune from her first husband, Captain Alexander Ricardo, who had died of alcoholism in 1871. Charles, despite his respectable career at the bar, was largely dependent on his wealthy stepfather and had been, according to those who knew him, primarily attracted to Florence's money. The marriage was troubled almost immediately. Charles attempted to control Florence's finances. He fired her coachman of 4 years, a man named George Griffiths, 2 weeks before the wedding. He pressured Florence to dismiss servants and reduce expenses. He was described by police investigators as controlling, mean, violent, and bullying. Florence had suffered 2 miscarriages in 5 months of marriage. She was drinking heavily. She was, by multiple accounts, deeply unhappy. But Florence's history was complicated in ways that would become central to the case. Before Charles, she had conducted a long love affair with Dr. James Gully, a celebrated society physician 37 years her senior, whose patients had included Tennyson, Darwin, and Dickens. Gully had given up his medical practice and moved to Balham to be near Florence. Their affair had produced a pregnancy. Gully had performed the abortion himself. Florence had nearly died. She ended the affair to marry Charles, but Gully continued to live nearby. Charles was obsessed with jealousy about him, and Gully, at 68, was known to use antimony in his medical treatments. The third person at that dinner table was Mrs. Jane Cox, Florence's companion since 1872, a widow with 3 young sons, cautious, circumspect, intelligent, and entirely financially dependent on Florence. Charles had been threatening to dismiss her to save money. Mrs. Cox had everything to lose if Charles lived. When Charles collapsed that night, it was Mrs. Cox who was first at his side. It was Mrs. Cox who told the doctors that Charles had confided to her that he had taken poison himself. Charles, when he regained consciousness, denied this. He said he had taken only laudanum for a toothache. The doctors noted that his calmness during his agonizing death was itself consistent with antimony poisoning, a fact not known to the general public at the time. The first inquest returned an open verdict. The public was unsatisfied. Parliament asked questions. A second inquest was called. It lasted 23 days. 80 witnesses testified. The revelations were sensational. Florence's affair with Gully, the abortion, the troubled marriage, the financial tensions, Mrs. Cox's changing testimony. The second inquest concluded, willful murder by person or persons unknown. No one was ever charged. 3 suspects, all with motive, all with opportunity, all with something to hide. Florence died of alcoholism in 1878. She was 33 years old. Her reputation had been destroyed by the inquest. Dr. Gully's distinguished career was finished. He was expelled from his clubs and shunned by society. Mrs. Cox faded into obscurity. Not one of them was ever charged. Not one of them was ever convicted. The poison that killed Charles Bravo was in a water bottle in his bedroom. Anyone in that house could have put it there. The question of who did has never been answered. Agatha Christie studied the case. She believed Dr. Gully was the only one clever enough to commit the crime, and that Mrs. Cox was involved but was not the moving spirit. In 1994, the British Medical Journal officially re-examined the case. Their conclusion: the poisoning was deliberate, the perpetrator unknown. 148 years later, the dinner at the Priory on the evening of April the 18th, 1876, has never been fully explained. 3 people sat down to that meal. One of them, or more than one, knew what was in that water bottle, and none of them ever said, "This has been dark verdict. The case is closed. The question is not." Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Because Agatha Christie tried to solve this case, and even she could not say for certain who did it, and subscribe to our channel.